Let's talk a little baseball. 3 days to pitchers and catchers.
Giddy up.
At least Mariners, pitchers and catchers. We have Darwin Barney, former Oregon State shortstop, Cubs right fielder on the line. You were playing golf?
Yeah, I was out there smacking around a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily call that golf at this point. So,
what kind of game do you have?
At times I can be okay, but as of late, I'm sitting around 12, 13, so it's not great.
Yeah.
Don't get to complain about being a 12 or 13. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, I guess so. I'll take it.
Who are you
Good
playing?
spots here in America.
Where are you, and who are you playing golf with?
Well, I'm out in Arizona. I got the family out here, just getting ready for spring training, and I was out on the golf course with a skip. Had work for pleasure. So when you're out there on the golf course and you're sharing a golf cart with your manager, I didn't feel right looking at my phone being a second-year player.
Got it.
Is it kind of like golfing with the principal?
What's that?
Is it kind of like golfing with the principal?
It is. You feel like he's sizing you up and seeing how you deal with pressure. So, unfortunately, I slipped all those close putts by, and, so we'll see what he thinks about that.
So I believe you'll be swinging back into town here one of these next several days?
Yeah, I'm coming back in on the 12th for the Oregon Ports. We're pretty excited about that. It's a good event. I've had the opportunity to be a part of it a few times as a recipient and as someone that's giving out the awards, so it's been fun.
Well, you have a stiff competition this year. Best pro athlete, it's you, Jacoby Ellsbury, Kevin Love, Ndamukong Suh, and LaMarcus Aldridge. Handicap that.
Well, I didn't even know I was up for an award, to be honest, so I think that tells you that much. So, that's a good cast of players, and, you can't really go up against Jacoby Ellsbury, so.
Damn, that's 2 in a row we've done that.
Broken news both times. So is there a different feel going into the season than what you had going into last?
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone around the Cubs organization is excited. We got new regime. We got guys around us that want to do things the right way. And as players, all you can ask for is someone that's going to hold you accountable and hold the guy next to you accountable. So, as an organization, we're excited. And me personally, coming in my second year, it makes it a little more comfortable knowing that you don't have to go out there and hit 400 to make the club.
Mm-hmm.
I was just trying to make the team last year, and it feels a little better this year. But, it's baseball, and it's numbers, and you got to do it every year.
This is Darwin Barney, Cubs designated hitter on the Fan. Cubs were 71-91 last year. If you had to boil it down to one thing, Darwin, what did that team lack?
Well, I think it was a couple things, and we had an amazing pitching staff. Coming into the year, and we lost a couple guys early, and there were more injuries on that team than I'd ever been a part of. So I think when you come out and lose 2 starters in the first week, it really puts a toll on your team, and I think coming out of the chute, it really hurt us. So. First and foremost, I'd start there. And, from there, it was just kind of a downward spiral. But, this year we got a lot of new guys. They've recouped the pitching staff, and we're excited.
You're so polite. We got to let you in on it. We were going to see how many positions we could throw out there until you corrected us and told us what position you actually played.
Hey, well, there's no designated hitter in the National League, so I think
that was the joke.
That one out.
Yeah. Well, why'd you let him in on it?
I was afraid we were going to offend the young man.
Oh, nice guy. All right, take me in.
I've heard you guys long enough. I know what's going on.
Yeah, he knows. He knows our shenanigans. So take me inside the mental, kind of the mental side of the game. I was looking at your numbers, and you came out of the gate, made the team. You hit 326 in April. You hit 296 in May. And I know there was an injury in there, but did you notice how pitchers adjusted to you? What did they do to change things up once they kind of got a feel for you after those first 2 months?
Well, it's one of those things that, my job is to set the table. And getting on base wasn't the easiest thing to do last year when you got guys like Aramis and Pena hitting behind you. I saw 56% strikes last year, and that was in the top 1% in the big league. So, I'm gonna try and work on seeing more pitches, being aggressive on strikes. It's just one of those things where it's a long season. I lost a lot of weight last year, and it makes a big difference when you're facing guys like Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee, and there's a lot of good pitching in the National League. So, you prepare yourself mentally, but you got to prepare your body, and doing that is something that I'm better at having a year under my belt.
Did you go? I mean, I know a lot of guys, personal trainers or dietitians, and it's something you don't do in college because you don't have the access to, but a lot of the pros do it. Have you taken the steps that drastic?
Yeah. I mean, I ended up around 170, and my goal is to play around 180, 185. I lost 15 pounds throughout the year, and anyone that's played the game and tried to hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, it's tough to get it going. So keeping that strength on, it's more of training yourself and being ready for the workouts and getting through 162 games and working out twice a week throughout the whole year. So we're going to schedule it out. We're going to get a calendar and decide what days you're going to work out, when you're going to drink your protein drinks, and so that you have something to follow instead of just, on the spot, I'm going to work out today or not. So, there's a lot that goes into that, especially for a guy like me that's not big, that has trouble keeping his weight on. So that's kind of the route we're going.
This is a Cubs second baseman since you spilled the beans, Darwin Barney.
Yeah, right.
Dusty thought we'd offended you.
Oh, jeez.
Dusty's kind of a candy ass, though.
Hey, so what's the hardest thing to do when you're at the plate? I mean, for you, is it mechanical? Is it something, a certain zone that you don't like the ball in? Is it mental, the pitcher? What is it for you?
I think the hardest thing to do is to stay clear. Everyone, when you're going well, there's not much going on in your mind. You step out of the box, you're looking up at the sky, you're just not really thinking about much. And it doesn't take much to step in there and start thinking about your hands or your feet or when you're going to start, what the guy's going to throw. A lot of different things that get in the way of actually seeing the ball. So I think the hardest thing is just clearing your mind and doing it over and over again. When you have 500, 600 at-bats in a year, you always look back and think of the ones you gave away, and unfortunately it's around 100. So if you can get better at being consistent in your mind, I think that's definitely the hardest thing to do.
Is confidence an issue when you're in the middle of a slump?
Well, definitely. I mean, that's what it's all about. No one knows you're in a slump more than you, and even when you're going well, sometimes you can feel like you're not going well. So, mentally is pretty much the whole game. The old saying, as everyone knows, the whole 50% mental, 100% this and that. It's totally true. Where it doesn't necessarily matter if your swing is on plane. What matters is if you feel good and if you feel like you can get it done.
How often does a big league pitcher tip pitches?
A lot more than you would think. Last year, Marlon Byrd, he's been around for a while. I tried to follow him around and listen to the things that he was saying. He picks up something on almost every guy, things that I'd never even looked for. And, if you can have that little percentage of an idea of what's coming, it's only going to help you. So I think that's something that everyone can get better at, and I'm definitely trying to figure that out myself.
Are there guys, too, you always hear of guys, I think George Brett might have been one of them, who said one time, I don't want to know what's coming, that they're more comfortable just reacting?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. The old school way to play is, in Little League, you're picking signs and helping guys out, and I actually was always one of those guys that didn't want it. I always second-guessed it. If there's anything to second-guess when you're at the plate, that's only going to hurt you. So for me, I would have rather just seen it and hit it. But there are a lot of guys, a lot of collision hitters, power guys that like to know what's coming and like to guess. Guys like me who try and hit for average and get base hits and get on base, sometimes that doesn't help.
How often are you guessing? You're going up and saying, this is a curveball, and if it's not, I'm screwed, versus you see it and you react to it?
Maybe the first pitch. It's not very often. If you're in a 2-0 count, then you're going to sit dead red, but you have the numbers on a guy, what he throws 2-0, what he throws 2-1. The information, it's like an overload. You have so much. So, it really depends on who's on the mound, but, I'd say maybe once or twice I'll sit on a pitch a game, but, maybe I'd hit a few more home runs if I sat on a few more pitches. I don't know.
Now, I remember you talking to us about you were so impressed with Roy Halladay last time you came on. Was there a guy that in your first full year that you had his number? Anytime he was out there, you just saw him well?
Oh, man. Not really. I can't really think of anyone that I did because, these guys have such good stuff. if you catch him on an off day, then, you know, you're going to be better off than otherwise. I mean, there was a day we saw Holiday, and it was 95 degrees outside, and they said that opponents' batting averages off him go up like 30 points when it's over 90 degrees outside. So that day he was kind of going through a little heat thing, and you know, his ball flattened out a little bit, and he was very hittable. Most other days, that's only like a 1% chance you're going to catch Holiday like that, but most other days he's pretty unhittable.
So when you're heading down into spring training, how much of that is a grind, and how much downtime do you get to, now that, you know, you've kind of established yourself a little bit, that you get some downtime to actually maybe enjoy the good weather, or is it all business once you hit Arizona?
You know, there isn't much downtime, especially, you know, I got a 5-month-old now to go along with my other daughter that's 3, and you know, you're trying to spend as much time with them as you can. You know, and so when you're not at the park, you're doing that and chasing them around. So, you know, once you get out to Arizona, it really is go time, and you know, it's a good thing because, you know, when you're at home, you're hitting warehouses and you can't throw more than 90 feet. You don't want to go outside and hurt your elbow. So coming out here, it's a good change of mindset and helps you get going.
This is Cubs second baseman Darwin Barney. And then one other topic I wanted to ask you about, I noticed this when the Mariners – where were they? The Mariners came to Portland one year and did an exhibition game, and I was down in the clubhouse noticing the different cliques based on nationality, and I wondered, with, you know, you're linked to Starlin Castro, you know, the shortstop. The language barrier in baseball is something that has been growing bigger and bigger over the last several years. What is that like, and is that something that you have to be careful of, can divide a team?
I mean, there's a lot of things that can divide a team. I think language is one of those things that guys can pick up on it pretty quick. When I first met Starlin, he couldn't do an interview in English, and then through one big league season, he was able to do everything in English. And you know, I think if a guy can't speak, you know, the same language, there's a lot of lingo that goes into the game, and I think it's a lot harder for the Japanese players. You know, having Fukudome on the team, it was a lot harder for him to pick up on the English than it was for the Spanish players. So, you know, I wouldn't say that it's a barrier. I'd say it's something that personally each guy has to overcome that, and you can hopefully build relationships with everybody.
Are you part of a clique? Do you have a little group, a subgroup?
Well, we're hoping it's a 25-man group this year. So.
Oh, good answer. Good answer.
Solid.
There you go. Party line. Stick to the party line.
Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for the chat. It was good talking to you again, and I'm sure we will catch up with you on Sunday at the Oregon Sports Awards.
Yeah, we'll talk to you then. It's always good talking to you guys.
Okay, you too. Darwin Barney, Cubs second baseman, in his first full season in the Bigs last year. He did end up logging 529 at-bats. He hit 276, 43 ribbies, one hell of a second baseman. Finished 7th in the National League Rookie of the Year voting